Alright, this show is starting to lose me. I didn't think last week's episode was terrible. There was definitely parts that I really did not like. But this one is the worst episode so far. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and tell a friend. If you're new, check out the rest of the channel and let me know what you think. Let's dive into Agatha All Along, Episode 5. The best part of this episode is that we get fully introduced to the Salem Seven, this creepy, deadly coven of 7 witches pursuing Agatha down the witches' road. It's revealed that these witches are the offspring of the original coven who attempted to kill Agatha along with her mother. This coven gives off a wild horror gothic aesthetic, and I love that part of it. Then we quickly devolve into a campy 80s horror thriller as Agatha and her coven face their next task inside of a desolate cabin. They summon a spirit, which happens to be Agatha's mother, who possesses Agatha momentarily, attacking the rest of the group. Now this part is just annoying because it could have been really cool and slightly terrifying for what is essentially a kid's show, but the tone is just so off-kilter this entire episode. Like, they want this whole sequence to be creepy and thrilling, but you got Aubrey Plaza just laughing in the back, just being very over the top and goofy throughout the whole entire thing. Just bad dialogue sprinkled throughout, and there's this portion where Kathryn Hahn just doesn't even seem like she's trying to act or put on a performance. It's so bad. She's just been possessed, and she's like begging her coven to not leave her, and it's just so flat and emotionless. It seems like this was the only take of this specific part of this scene that they took. It's so weird. Then Agatha is possessed again, and Alice attempts to save her by banishing her mother, and Agatha accidentally kills her by sucking out her powers. And I don't know, it's dumb. When Alice uses her powers, it's so laughable. She looks so incredibly ridiculous, like posing, using her powers. It looks so stupid. And the CGI effects are just so bad. They look like a Snapchat filter, essentially. And I don't understand what happened, because up to this episode, the effects and the action were pretty good for like a low-budget Marvel show. But this episode, not just this part, but there's a part where they're flying on broomsticks, and it looks terrible. Like, Harry Potter came out decades ago, and the broom sequences in that movie looks incredible. Why is this so bad? It screams just like people on poles in front of a green screen. Like, that's all it looks like. It's by far the worst effects in this show up to this point. The one good thing about this whole sequence we get is we get a little insight into why Agatha's mom tried to kill her. Apparently, she knew Agatha was evil when Agatha came out of the womb, and she declares that she should have killed her as a baby. So all this time we've kind of been wondering, why Agatha has become this villain. It seems like she's more of an anti-hero, which I think they're setting her up to be, and her mom was pretty much a piece of shit. But that's about all we get. And the rest of that cabin sequence is just awful to watch. It is not fun at all. But yeah, Alice dies unceremoniously, and it's to the point where you're like, okay, is this real, or is the show tricking me? What's going on here? They don't even bury her. They buried Mrs. Hart. They just leave her in this cabin. That's it. They don't talk about it, nothing. So they all leave the cabin, continue on the road, except for Aubrey Plaza. This part's so strange. I have no idea what happens to her character. She just never comes out of the house with the rest of the group, and no one notices it or acknowledges it, and you don't see her the rest of the episode. It's so weird. And then the last scene this week, it's revealed that Teen is Wiccan. I think in the comics, he's Wanda's son. I I'm pretty sure, and Agatha even alludes to this in this episode. I don't know if they're actually going to go that route. I don't know how accurate that's going to be, because to my knowledge, this is the same reality where Wanda created her kids. So, at the end of WandaVision, they just disappeared because they were all an illusion. So I don't know how accurate that's going to be. But if you're not familiar with Wiccan, he's a part of like the Young Avengers and stuff. He's basically a teenage, warlock or whatever, boy witch. Is that a warlock? Wizard, I guess. So yeah, that's fun, I suppose. He gets a crown like Wanda's. It's like purple, I think. Anyway, he turns on Agatha, Jen, and Lilia because they confess to him that they're all basically on this mission to achieve power and nothing else. So, yeah, that was it. That was the episode. It wasn't good. I'll tell you that much. I was enjoying this show up until the last 2 episodes. These past 2 have just been so over the top and corny, and it just doesn't gel with the horror vibes that come through when they're actually traveling the road. This show wants to be 2 different things tonally, but they don't know how to mesh them correctly. And it just feels so off anytime you switch from being this horror gothic fantasy drama to this over-the-top, campy, comedic musical adventure style show. It's just not great when it tries to have its cake and eat it too. The performances, especially this episode, have become so insanely melodramatic. The action has become very bad, and the effects have just evolved into this ugly garage green screen style CGI. And like I said, I've enjoyed most of this show up to this point, so this was a real downer. I wish this show would just lean more into the horror elements, because that's when this show is at its best. Hopefully, moving along throughout the season, this episode and the last one will just be an unfortunate anomaly. But I doubt it.